YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this amazing product, all new from Volantex, 500 millimeters. Legend series, not 400, 500, and yes, brushless motor, baby. So good, so beautiful, and look at that dame. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And then look, our instrument cluster is peeling off, but yours might not. And the pilot is not a two-dimensional piece of paper. Give him a grab, give him a grab. Squishy tires. Squishy. Yes, awesome. Our landing gear door were really hard to put on, but this also has something else that we haven't seen before. Steerable tail wheel, so cool. We're gonna fly it right now. Wind is sort of all over the place. I'm in beginner mode all the way toward my belly with this switch. This also has one-touch aerobatics. Here we go. Whoa, I have like no up elevator. I am full up on my elevator, and that's as much as it'll let me go up. Now I'm into the wind, and look at this, guys. Auto leveling, and that thing is doing a fantastic job in heavy winds. Okay, I'm in expert mode now. Let's see how bad it is. Wow, it's actually not bad. It's a little touchy on the sticks, but guys, I can actually fly it. I love it. Oh, that thing is gorgeous. 50% throttle, hard in the throttle now. Wow, that is so good for being, woo! And that's why we like Volantex. Look at the spin. Oh, that was so dang cool. Why do we like Volantex? Why do we like these warbirds?
Because they come with the little pop-off prop.
And
prop saver.
You can crash it just like that.
No big deal.
Look, no big deal. I'll trade you. Prop 4. We always crash our planes just to prove points on Brian Phillips RC.
It's never
it's not a piloting issues. It's definitely just because we want to show how it works. So this thing is going to wrap the edge and then snap right on, and boom, we're ready to rock and roll. You might want to just double check you don't have a bend in your prop, and if you do, it comes with the spare prop. I'm going to go to mid this time, and the wind is at our tail. But watch this, something you can't do with the other ones. Oh, you can taxi. Amazing. Oh, the mid gives you, look at that, propped off again. So guys, one of the things I like best about this prop is that it pops off, but it's also beautiful. 3-bladed prop. My elevator authority is a little lacking on the up elevator access. And so I think the only way for me to resolve that would be to take and squeeze this thing, or separate it actually and pull it apart a little bit, which is thusly going to point my elevator up just a hair, okay? We may need to do that. The other thing too is I wonder if my gear door, that's back on, the simulated gear door might have popped off from the bogey. Yep, maybe I forgot that. That might, I wonder if that's causing extra drag. We might have to pull those off and see how it flies with the hand launch. But we're gonna go back to beginner, and you see how our driveway slopes down? We're gonna see if we can get off the ground, because like I said, there's just barely any up elevator, okay? Plenty of throttle to get flying, but it just doesn't, oh man, that looks so good. And the auto leveling is actually very good, guys, but there's just not enough elevator authority. And man, it looks really, guys, it is really windy. It is not a little bit windy, it's a lot windy. And when I go past the house, there's sheer. Oh, it's so good. Oh, by the way, did you guys notice? What's going on over here? It's like a whole construction site. That's 50% throttle, folks.
Wow.
And what is going on? Is somebody like having a fire somewhere?
Apparently so.
Or did we like, did somebody call the cops?
Are you speeding?
Okay, we're into, oh man.
That's looking really good.
That is so good. I'm an expert now.
Wow.
So as you can see, do I still have stabilization? I do, camera crew. Look at this. It's like actually flyable. I'm with the wind. What are the chances?
You're still in expert mode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Whoa, that was not what I wanted. Oh, now I'm in expert. Guys, I apologize. I was in mid mode. I apologize. Don't mean to mislead. Now I'm in expert mode. And yeah, it's a little wonkadelic. It's not as good as I want from like a UMX. Whoa!
Wow.
Wow, that was kind of an intense one. It just got totally flipped upside down by the wind shear. But let's show you how this works. Sometimes you do break them, by the way. Oh man, I actually broke it.
Oh,
son of a biscuit. So, look at that. We're gonna show you one other thing cool about this plane that you can't do on some of the others. Check this out, right there. There's a plug, can you see it?
Yes.
DSMX and X-Bus, so cool. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna obviously have to go get our other prop, and we'll come right back and show you how to put that on again. But then this thing just squeezes right in and it does its thing, just like that. Oop, I got it backward, guys. This goes right here, okay? So here on Brian Phillips RC, and then yeah, we got a little bit of a crack. Oh, nah, we busted the wing. The good news is it's busted a little bit at the seam, but look, the thing is still strong because what gives the structural integrity is this seam here. This is carbon fiber all the way down the gull and out to the wingtip. So this thing would fly fine. In fact, we're gonna show you right now. Pause and we'll grab a new prop. All right, so as you can see, we just broke that prop, which is a bummer because it's such a beautiful prop. But then, so guys, if you nose dive into the ground, you might break your prop, okay? So luckily it comes with a spare prop. Now this thing here, you don't have to do anything about it. You could glue it with something like this, a China glue product. This is from FMS in this case. But you could also use a CA product on that and it would set quickly. So I'll show you CA on this one, but ordinarily I would use China glue. Okay, so China glue, well, whatever. We'll just show them China glue. So China glue, it's all stringy like this, okay? And that China glue is going to give you a super tacky finish. And so part of flying is crashing. And the truth is, if you aren't ready to crash a plane, you're probably never gonna fly a plane, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, and see I've got this rested on my belly. I'm gonna pull it open. I'm just gonna squeeze just a tiny little bit. It doesn't need to be hardly any, okay? I'm gonna get that in there. That was actually a lot more than I meant to get in there. We're just gonna let that sit for a second as I lid this back up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll take my trusty Q-tip, because I have Q-tips all over my kitchen. For those of you that don't have Q-tips in your kitchen, you have to go to your bathroom like a weirdo. Pull that, let that, I'm just kind of getting it into the joint. And then I'm just gonna actually take a ton of this excess off. I got way too much on there. And look, once that's off of there, you can just let that go in there, no big deal. And then you see how I'm just working it? In fact, I can just go right in there and just squiggle it down in there, okay? Just go all the way down in there and just let that sit. Now leave it open a little bit if it can be opened. It's not feeling like it's gonna stay open. Stay there, camera crew. Mm-hmm. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a second Q-tip and just let that set up for about a minute. And China glue is super easy in this regard because it doesn't take much to actually get the stuff to work. But sometimes the best results are gonna be if you can open that up and let it set for a minute and then it'll cook off, okay? So while that's cooking off, we're gonna clean this up a little bit. Just kind of take some of the excess. See, I'm just rolling my Q-tip and then I'm gonna just roll my Q-tip here and pick up that little bit there. And as this tacks up, it'll actually peel off of there, and a lot of times you won't even lose a little bit of paint. Now, we'll just leave this. Okay, now we'll see if it'll stick. See that, how it's getting real stringy? Okay, and we'll leave it, okay? Then, see that's the challenge. See, I've waited too long and I let that eat the paint. Poo, it's okay. We'll just let that stuff come off. Fortunately, it's really light, okay? So now that we've got that excess, we'll leave this excess, and then what we'll do is, because this excess is still sitting there, we'll actually let that cure, and we'll let that dry, and once it dries, we can actually pull that off with a tacked up Q-tip with that little bit of glue that's on it, and it'll pull it right off of there, okay? So we'll give it just a second and come right back. Okay, so in typical Brian Phillips RC fashion, we're gonna overload you with information. This is CA, okay? So this stuff is not foam safe. I believe it would be okay on this type of foam, but if you're curious, this is called low odor or foam safe, okay? So we have links to all this stuff. This would be a thinner product, so you can see how it's like water. This has a little bit higher viscosity. It's called medium thick. This stuff happens to be medium thick. You can also get it with a blue lid, like a baby blue, kind of like light blue. That's the thin, and then pink colored, and that would be thick, okay? This is medium or gap filling. You could use that instead. It'd be a little bit more immediate if you use something like this, which is called Instaset or Kicker, and I usually just pull the tip out and do this, and I've got a Pringles lid for a base to hold all sorts of pins and things that I use to clear my tips, okay? So part of getting into this hobby is learning how to deal with technical challenges like fixing stuff, we're gonna help you here on Brian Phillips RC, because even though this is a cheap plane, for some of you, it might be your first, and you don't wanna like lose it in one flight. I can tell you right now, maybe wait for a little bit better conditions at what we're doing, but check this out. Can you go over here so that I have light? Thanks. Perfect. Watch this. I'm gonna just spin this and pull that paint. I wanna try to do it without losing the paint. See, and then I can just double back, and then double back, and then double back, and then double back, and then double back until it stops doubling back. You see how it's just pulling all that excess glue out? That's a lot of excess glue, goodness gracious. I told you I got a lot on there. Then you could probably just leave it at that point, but I'm gonna do a typical Brian Phillips RC. I'm gonna overdo it. And what's nice is when it's wet like this, you can peel it out of there, okay? And I probably have expended this Q-tip. So now I can lay this Q-tip down. I'll just get another Q-tip. So we're up to 3 Q-tips. So when you price this plane out, include 3 Q-tips. So what is that, like $3.99 for 10,000?
Yeah.
So that'd be like, you know, an extra 13 cents. I'm not very good at math, obviously. Okay, so I'm gonna just get that off of there. And then the fear is you don't wanna lose all your paint, okay? Because this glue can sometimes take the paint with it because it's got such a good bond, okay? So we'll just leave that now. So this is set up. It would be good to fly right now, and it's gonna be. We're gonna clean up and go fly right now. All right, so there's one other thing I wanted to talk about while we're just letting that set up for a second longer. The elevator authority was weak on this plane. And so there's a couple of different ways you can resolve that conflict if you find it to be weak. This here, there's 3 holes on that control horn. If you go to the outsidemost hole, you'll actually have less throw, so less output. If you go to the middle hole, which is where it was by default, then you'll have the minimum amount, or the middle amount. And if you go to the insidemost hole, you actually move that control surface the furthest. But I don't think that's gonna work, because what's happening is it's not the elevator throw that's preventing us lifting, it's the flight controller. So there's 2 ways you can have a more strong elevator. One is to change the center of gravity. Right now, this plane balances nicely at about the wing spar, okay? If I were to make it slightly more tail heavy, it would be less, it'd be more understable, and tail heavy planes are gonna have a more hypersensitive elevator, okay? So what I can do is I can figure out, first of all, is there a way to move this battery? See the battery, it's in the front of the opening? Why don't we take this opportunity to swap packs too? Because we did fly it for just a short period. But we'll go ahead and swap packs. Okay, this one we'll pull out. We'll lay it over here. Transmitter's concerned because I disconnected the pack, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut that off. When I plug this in, just make sure your polarity is right. It should be keyed. Okay. Now, I'm gonna turn this on. And then what I'm gonna do is, instead of having this go on the front, I'm gonna have it go in the back. Or I might even try to tuck it up into this opening here a little bit, okay? So up into the opening is gonna give us a more tail heavy configuration, and that might help make the plane fly just a bit better. Ooh, look at that, I got it all the way in there, see? All the way in, all the way back, okay? But you gotta be careful because there are servos in there, but they are on the bottom portion of the board, okay? So I'm gonna see if I can get this in. And I'm trying to show you the easiest way to do it and still have a good flight performance. Okay, so now that's all the way down there, or on the top of the plane, if you will. Now I'm gonna take my finger and I'm just try to work that back. It doesn't go back any further. So that should shift our CG back just a little bit. Okay, so that's good. Close the lid. Now, when I check the center of gravity, that's gonna make it more tail heavy, but not by a huge margin. Okay, it's just gonna shift it back a little bit. That might help make our elevator a little bit more responsive. Now, the other thing you can do, and I'm probably gonna go ahead and do it just to show you how to do it, you could also just put in a little bit of pre-trim on there and see if that helps. So that means I'm just gonna wanna expand this out so that the elevator is going in an upward configuration a little bit. So I'm gonna hold right here really hard and see if I can pull it. That's not gonna work. So I'll take a second set of pliers, in this case strippers, and I'm just gonna work them apart from each other a little bit and then let it relax. And that opened it up just barely. You don't need much, okay? So I'm gonna try that one more time just so you can get another shot at looking at it. Pull it apart, and now that's opened up just barely. I wanna try to do it with a screwdriver. So the other way you can do this is use a flat-bladed screwdriver. This is the other way I like to do this. And I'll brace it here so it doesn't walk away from me. And then I can turn the screwdriver, and this one might be a little bit too big. It just doesn't want to bend very much. The other thing you can do is you can hold this portion of it. This is just really stiff. And then you can get in here. It's a tight spot, folks. Okay, I'm gonna grab there and I'm just gonna twist like this, okay? There you go. Now I open that up. You see how I opened it up? Now I wanna take this angle, and I wanna, instead of being like this, I wanna flatten it so that it squares everything up a little bit, okay? So I can also get this in and open it way easier now that I can get in there with my needle nose. And then I can do this. Watch this. I'm gonna go in here and just change this angle by squeezing just a hair, and it's wanting to pop out, you see? Every time I grab this, it's wanting to pop out of the pliers. And so I'm just trying to get in there a little bit deeper bite on it. Straighten it just a hair. Oh, okay, see, now it's straight in a line. But look how much we adjusted it now.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That was too much, right? Is what you could say. You can make that argument that that's a pretty fair argument. It's too much, okay? So, obviously when I move the elevator, it still moves up and down, okay? But the neutral position is way too far up, okay? So, what I can do now that I have it adjusted, I can go back in and bite this, and it's easier to control my adjustment factor back, okay? I know it seems like we just did that. Well, sometimes there's only one way to get it, and that's to go back a little bit too far. Okay, so now that we have that adjusted, we can look again. Yeah, we just got a little bit of up angle now. And we also have the CG shifted just a hair back. So we're gonna see how that works, and we're gonna show you right now. Okay, so from beginner mode, couple changes we made. Hopefully this works better. The wind is with us once I go about 2 feet that way, just full disclosure. Into the throttle. Oh yeah, way better on the ups. I have enough elevator to actually go up, see? Now I can go up, now I can go down, now I can go up. I'm in beginner mode too. So that means I can actually fly this plane now. So let's walk out to the end a little bit. Beautiful, guys. I'll bring it in for some slow passes here, about 30, 40, 50% throttle now, 60 to get a little bit higher altitude into the wind. Got a little bit of wind shear. It's definitely very windy. And boy, oh boy, does that thing fly pretty dang good for being in beginner mode. I am very surprised. That elevator adjustment was absolutely necessary. Look, I can go up, I can go down. Guys, what more can you want? Now we can press the button and pull back on the stick. It's gonna attempt to do an elevator loop. Obviously that didn't work very good. So we're gonna try again. I'm gonna go into the wind. Now I'm gonna press the button, go back. Oh, there's a loop, even in beginner mode. Now I'm gonna go full throttle. I'm gonna press the button and push to the right. It does a barrel roll. And then we are getting forced in with the wind, but I can just come out of the throttle and point it down and then get back into the throttle. Guys, it's actually pretty flyable. Let's see if I can land it before, whoa! See if I can land it. Ooh! Well, that was not a very good landing, but at the same time, our prop is saved. So I gotta say, for being a 500 millimeter warbird, okay? This is gonna be no hobby grade experience compared to, you know, some of the other competitive offerings. They're considerably more expensive, admittedly, but it's gonna be a very good experience. And I tell you what the difference is. The difference is A, brushless, B, we're in pretty considerable wind here, and C, beauty. This thing is gorgeous, okay? You definitely wanna get that battery in there. You definitely wanna get a little bit of an up cant on the trim for your elevator. Don't depend on the electronic trim, it's not gonna be enough. Okay, so let's try this again. From beginner mode, into the wind. Oh, and by the way, I just gotta say, being able to taxi is so nice. It looks so much better, because the truth is, if you can't taxi a plane, it just makes it a lot more lame experience. Man, that thing got kicked into the air. Beautiful. Aircraft carrier. Let's give them a flight over by the new runway, camera crew. So I do have to ride a little bit down on my elevator, but it's totally worth it, because now I can fly next to the crosswind strip. Look at this, guys. Here's the damn runway. First time you're seeing it in real, live, true color. Right here, this is gonna be the damn runway. We've knocked down the bump in the middle a little bit. It's still got a little bit of a bump. And yes, there is a lot of work left to do, but we've got 240,000 pounds of rock coming, hopefully next week, to spread out, and that's gonna make the base for the road. and then that's gonna be 3-inch clean, and then later we'll bring in some 3/4, and we're gonna fill in behind that, and then we're gonna bring in some concrete. When I say some, I mean about 140 yards of it. Okay, so check this out, guys. Look, right there, bent back. I'll just brace here and bend forward. Yep, no problemo. Went right away. I think these gear door provide a lot of additional drag for your consideration. You may not want to put them on. Let's go ahead and, in fact, let's pop them off now, and we'll just go full Monty, and we'll take this off too. Okay. So we already know the tires are very good, but tires create drag, and so do those gear door. They're very draggy, but they're so dang gorgeous.
They do look really cool.
How do you not fly with those, especially when you got soft tires? And then, of course, the tail wheel will pop out. And we'll show you, you can hand launch this plane just fine. I just wish we could get it down without engaging the prop. I think this might have been bent back on that last landing, which is why it popped right away. Okay, so real quick, you can stay right there, camera crew.
Okay.
We'll launch into the wind to wind. Just full disclosure's coming this way. I'm in beginner mode. And watch this, guys, no throttle. Watch this. Into the throttle. You can give it throttle. You'll go forward about 3 steps. Beautiful. Guys, God, I love it. I think I'm possibly rubbing the decorative cowling. In beginner mode, I have good control authority. It's not as good as with some competitive offerings. Okay, pressing the button, doing a nice big loop. Beautiful. You can change the size of your loop by changing the throttle. So with the wind, press, and then, whoa, that was kind of crazy. I did not mean to do that, but I happened to be flying in not a straight line at that time. Okay, we're gonna try again, pressing big loop. It's actually doing a great job, guys. This plane is good. Good rudder authority. Look at the rudder authority. Rudder authority is not bad. You don't have enough to fight the wind in that axis. Now let's show you what it looks like in mid mode. Okay, mid mode. We are in the middle, not beginner mode. Okay, let's pull back on the elevator. It lets you do a loop, but it's more of like kind of an automatic loop. Okay, so now let's try a barrel roll. Nope, it's not gonna let you flip over, but you could probably get this plane into an uncontrollable axis where it just sort of flips over on accident. Low passes are kind of a thing of not today. Okay, now in expert. Oh, it's a little crazy, but yes, it is flyable, just not very good. I would say if you guys are wanting something that's in expert mode, you're gonna have to get Expo, you're gonna have to get trims, you're gonna have to get CG dead nuts, and they do not tell you the CG back to beginner. Guys, this plane is designed to be in beginner because it isn't in beginner. Stay where you are. Whoa, I was gonna go inside, that did not work. Fortunately, I know how to use the elevator and I have it. By the way, out of box, this thing does not have enough elevator throw, and you will have to make some adjustments in order to get the thing to go up in the air. And you know, it's kind of a big detail with airplanes. You want to be able to go up, I've heard. Well, that was cool. I initiated that after I was already going into it. It's kind of neat. So guys, the bowl is still the bowl, but you can see our crosswind strip there. It's going to be quite the strip. That'll be 12 foot wide instead of 10 like our main runway. So as you can see, just flying along it, just having a good old time. That is the damn runway. Look how long it is, guys. That is huge. And then eventually all the way up the hill. I'm not even at the end of the hill yet, by the way. It's going to be so cool. We cannot wait to share how this all comes together. And yes, there are going to be some Easter eggs throughout the next videos as we get a little bit closer and deeper into the project. But man, oh man, Volantex did a good job with this plane, even though I didn't do as good a job. Oh yeah, there it is. That is one way to belly land.
It is.
At full throttle and at your feet. But guys, let's show you a landing where I don't maybe break the prop off. I don't know if it's possible, to be honest, with this 3-bladed prop. And I gotta say, I don't know if you can feel the wind in the video, but it is getting really pretty aggressively windy. I had to go to a funeral today, and so obviously funerals are always a great reminder of live today like there's not tomorrow, because at the end of the day, you're not guaranteed it. Doesn't matter how much money you got, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So start flying today. Check out the links in the video description below and buy one for yourself. I'm gonna try to land this and see if we can keep the prop on, but you guys see this getting yanked out of my hands?
Do you want to go back in front of the house at least?
Yeah, maybe.
Out of the wind a little bit.
I mean, it's pretty easy to launch when you got that much wind. But I gotta say, guys, Volantex have done a really good job over the years. We see them as kind of like the real McCoy, because we've had a lot of different brands that we've worked with over the years that have made different, like 400-ish millimeter sizes. This is 500. And it's just, they do a really nice job. Doesn't mean that nobody else does. Man, that wind shear is aggressive around the house. So I'm gonna just try to land it here, right in front of us. We'll just bring it in nice and slow, 50% throttle. You guys can see. Here, we'll just let you watch the sticks as I do this. Okay, can you see both? Mm-hmm. Just out of the throttle. It's not gonna stop tractoring the prop is the problem. So like I said, I don't think it's possible to even land this without popping the prop off, with the exception of if you have a calm day and you go wheels up, wheels down, which truth is, these wheels are very, oh yeah. These wheels are very good. All the other manufacturers should be taking notice of this, because this applied to larger planes would be amazing. And I'm not saying that we can always have super ultra supple tires, because bigger planes carry more weight and that leads to dented tires and things of this nature. And so it is a bit of a problem. But at the end of the day, I think you guys are gonna really enjoy this. And this plane is really well done. It is not an ultra micro, even though it wants to be and it tries hard, okay? You're gonna notice that immediately when you notice how flexible and crash resistant it is, because it's not EPS, okay? You're gonna notice it immediately when it's got a brushless motor, which is beautiful, and a 400 milliamp 2S flight pack, which is really nice. We'll show you how to charge it, we'll show you how to stick it in the hole, and we'll show you all the details. So the unbox is coming right now. We hope you'll enjoy it with us. And stay tuned, there's so much more right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC. As you can see right behind me, we've got a lot going on right now, and we can't wait to share the full truth. Nothing but the truth, so help us God about that project too. It's gonna be amazing. And by the way, this is not too shabby either. So get one right now, links in the video description below. Stay tuned, unboxing next. YouTube, Brian Phillips. We're gonna open this box right now. It's gonna be amazing. If you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we unbox them, we build them, we set them up on the radio system. We make sure that whatever it takes to get this thing in the air, we're assuming it's in the air and not a weed whacker this time.
Be a little weed whacker.
Size matters.
Might be kind of fun.
It would be cool if you could have a small, dinky little weed whacker.
It's like those little electric shears we did that one time.
Yeah.
We use those all the time.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's an F4U Corsair, amazing. We show exactly how to set this thing up. It's not gonna be hard on this one. And so we're super excited to share it. And yes, this is from a Volantex RC, one of the original. The real McCoy, I guess, I don't know. So the F4U Corsair, the Legends Brushless series, X-Pilot gyro system, 1-key aerobatic, which I thought was the lamest feature ever, but it actually works pretty good. Brushless power, that's what we like right there, right there. And they look really nice, okay? So let's cut this thing open. We had a P51, it's in our Christmas tree. Yes, that is a Christmas tree.
It's a spring tree.
Christmas tree.
There's nowhere to go.
That's all right. We are about done with our construction in the basement, and we're just getting literally started on the construction of the dam gift shop, dam runway, cross-run strip. So guys, stay tuned to Brian Phillips RC to see our exploits with this aerodrome that we're building. It's gonna be super exciting. This is the weirdest packaging. Look at this. Seriously, get up there. Show the people.
Well, it's upside down.
No, it's not. It's right side up. I opened it the right way, but the airplane is sitting right side up. Which is that weird? Pretty cool.
Oh.
So we have a manual, okay? We also have the radio. So this is a ready to fly, which means you get everything you need except for 4 AA's. Let's just slide those in the hole right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you had those in your pocket?
I did.
Amazing. So negative, the flat side goes down onto the spring, flat side to the spring, flat side negative to the spring, and flat side to the spring. So if you mothers helping your children don't know a lot about batteries and technology, don't worry. You can actually help them do this, and I'll actually make you look good putting the lid on. Okay, so throttle, slide down, power's on, flashy light. One touch aerobatics, pull back, it's gonna do a loop. One touch, push to the side, it'll do a barrel roll. One touch aerobatic, push to the other side, it'll do another barrel roll. I don't know if this does the one key U-turn. We don't even talk about that because I don't like that feature. It's a stupid feature. And yes, there are 3 modes of action on this airplane. It says expert, mid, and beginner. So you would start with it pulled towards your belly as you're holding it. And that's gonna basically automatically level the plane. When you let go of the sticks, and then when you go to mid, it's gonna allow you to do some more movement, and then expert's gonna be full control. So we'll start there, and that's where you're gonna want your kids to start if you're trying to teach them, or if you're just trying to learn how to fly RC. Just keep in mind this would be what we would call somewhere between toy grade and sliding scale into hobby grade. Hobby grade, of course, being something like, you know, this F7F here, or the J3 Cub behind it that's hanging out, or some of the other planes that are in the background. Hun, if you can just pan to the left, please.
Oh, any of these things?
Yes. So, coming back to the unbox, we have to flip this over carefully. Ah, yes, look at this, very beautiful. Okay, so we'll untape this. This is the charger. You wanna get this thing opened as soon as possible because the charger holds the key to your success. So you have to charge your batteries. Okay, we got landing gear. Look at this, beautiful, squishy tires. Look at that, that's awesome, guys. We have not always had squishy tires. And then spring loaded, that is really cool. Spring loaded. It's not an oleo, what am I trying to say? I don't know how this is gonna work though. Maybe it isn't oleo. No, an
just
oleo.
A strut?
No, it's not a wing strut. I can't think of it. I'm like drawing a blank big time. Okay, and then right here, this is a prop adapter. So it's actually gonna hold on to the prop here, and then it's gonna go onto the prop shaft there. So you have a spare, and then of course you have the props, which are right here. And you're probably thinking, why don't you start with the airplane? I wanna see the airplane, just relax, we're getting there. You gotta have all this stuff figured out before you buy this stuff, right? By the way, if you're gonna buy it from the links in the video description below. You'll help support Brian Phillips RC and what we do to help you guys have a better experience in the RC hobby by showing you what's good, telling the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. Look at this.
Cool.
The spinner, really nice painted wing tips, or prop tips, I should say. And as I was trying to explain, this is the little prop saver. And so what happens is this clips on, boop, just like that. And then it transfers the torque. And then if you hit, it'll pop right off. And you're like, that seems like it's pretty stout. Well, it is stout until it hits the ground. Then it'll just go bonk, like that, and it won't get broken. And if they do get broken, they give you a spare and then another spare, which is really nice. And that is an adequate amount for a beginner. So you've got a little bit of something to work with. Just hang on to the bags forever. Okay, so continuing through the untaping, unboxing portion, the next most boring but yet awesome part of this build. 2S lipos. Look at this. Supples? Oh, jeez. Okay. 400 milliamp hour, 25C, 2 cells, 7.4 volts. So that's the nominal voltage through this. The discharge lead, that's called a JST connector. Okay. This is technically a JST Hextronics balance lead. And you're like, why are there 3 wires on that? That's so funkadelic. Well, what's going on is there's a positive and negative of one cell and then a positive and negative of the other cell. And they're in series, which is how we get 2S. But they don't say 2S anywhere on here because they're not using the common vernacular. Now this charger is going to allow you to charge through the balance lead. That's how we charge these smaller batteries, but we're gonna show you multiple ways to do the charging. Why are we gonna show you multiple ways? Because here on Brian Phillips RC, we don't just teach you how to do it once, we teach you so that you can learn how to do it more than once. So I'm gonna grab just the run-of-the-mill charger. We had this from our last hobby exploit, which was a little heli. We're gonna stick this thing, it says, USB Li, I don't know why. Input DC 5 volts, 2 amps. Output 7.4 volts. I don't know. 7.4 volts at 1,000 milliamp hours. Okay, so we'll just plug this in. We'll plug that in, nice short cable, which is actually kind of a desirable trait in this case because you don't want stuff flopping all over the place, or maybe you do. So then you'll plug this in and it's gonna start flashing. There's a light flashing. I'm gonna flip it around so you guys can see better. See the flashing light? See when I disconnect this, it shuts off. When I plug it in, it starts flashing immediately. When I disconnect the charger, it stops flashing, goes to solid. When I plug it in, it's charging because it's flashing. Now, if you didn't know how this works, you can take a balance lead tester, which would be something like a battery tester. This is the XBC 100 checker. You can also check servos, or you can use something super cheap like this. This happens to be a Predator brand, but they're all about the same. And I'll just show you how this works. There's a negative, and then this goes 1S all the way through 8S, which means there's 9 pins. So the negative lines up with the negative, you plug it in, and this is a voltage alarm that also tells you how much is in this pack. So 8.06 with cell 1 representing 4.01 and cell 2 representing 4.03. So it's not perfectly balanced, but it's pretty close. And then this one here should be just incrementally higher because we've had it charging for just mere moments. So we'll plug that in, 2 cells, 8.12 as I suggested. So storage voltage for a LiPo is about 3.8 volts on a standard LiPo. On a smart LiPo, they'll usually go to about 3.9 volts if you're dealing with spectrum, okay? So now we have a smart charger over here. It doesn't have to be smart. It could be a dumb charger. Smart just means that it takes advantage of a data lead, and this data lead goes to that pin in between the discharge leads, this being an IC3 connector, and this being here a smart pack. Okay, so the smart pack has Gen 1 has this balance lead, as well as the data wire that goes up to the data pin on this being an IC3 connector, okay? So the IC3 connector goes in here, and we're gonna teach you things like what the heck connectors do. You can see this battery is discharged at 3.79 because it's been uncharged for some time. This is a Gen 1. A Gen 2 doesn't have that pesky balance lead anymore. As you can see, it's just got the data line that goes in the middle, and then when you plug it in, you get the data pass through even though you don't have a balance lead. Pretty cool, right? How does it do that? Well, it's got this cool little circuit, and I've got one from a crash plane right here that I pull out of the battery, and it's got this smart charging circuit that also manages the data, and pretty cool that it does that here through the data port, okay? So then that passes through, and this not only manages data about the battery, like the serial number, the charge cycles, the temperature cycles, all that stuff is stored in the onboard memory. And then when you plug it in, the charger is aware of it. It's really cool, the XBC battery checker. And it's really neat that you can do that. But you don't need to have something this fancy, but you can. And that's what's so cool about this, because look, you don't even need a smart battery to check this. So this thing's like 50 bucks roughly. I would highly recommend having one, and it shows you your percentage basis, which is sort of a non-starter for me, because really what I want to see is 4.2 volts per cell. Okay, so you can use the provided charger right here, and you can use that and it'll work just fine. It's going to take a little bit longer because you're only charging at 1,000 milliamp hours, or 1,000 milliamps, so about 1 amp. What we can do is we can come over to this charger. We can charge faster, but 1C charging rate would be 0.4 of an amp, or 400 milliamp hours, okay? So 400 milliamps, rather, will charge this at 1C. To go to 2C, you would be at 800. So whatever 1,000 is divided by that would be, so you're like 2.25C if you go to 1,000 milliamp hours. So now, in order to charge this, I would have to have an adapter that would get me into this provided charger port here. So in my case, I do have JST adapters, and there's many, many, many adapters that you may need. And you're like, but why do you not have the data line? Because this isn't a smart battery, but you don't need a smart battery to use this. Okay, so we'll just plug this in like that. And then that allows us to use the smart charger by plugging in that, and then plugging this in just like we would to the setting to the cheap charger that comes with it. And then I'll just press this. I'll set the charge rate to what I want. So in this case, I'll set it to, I'm just gonna go to, okay, so 4 times 3 would be what?
12.
So 1.2 amps. And then I go to start, and it already has detected it's 2S. So 2 cells like we talked about, and then you can just press start. and it's gonna start charging, and then I'm gonna press down and it's gonna show you the per cell voltage. So now I am charging this battery admittedly at 3C. Normally at a 25C pack, I like to think of that as a whole number 2.5. That's not a whole number, so I would usually round that up to 3 or down to 2, but just gives me a rule of thumb. So like this pack happens to be a 30C. So I like to think of it as powers of 10 on the charge side, and then 30C on the discharge side. So it can discharge quickly, but not as quick as something that would have a higher C rating like this would be a 50C. So I would be comfortable charging this at about 5C, right there, you see that? Or 25 amps. So yes, you can put 25 amps to this baby and it will charge. And guess what? It doesn't even need a balancing charger because it will charge itself and balance it right there on that little circuit that I showed you. Of course, it's a little bigger on a 6S pack. This is 6 cells in series. Now that I have confused everybody, we just want to teach you something. Batteries and props are the 2 safety factors that you need to pay attention to when you get an airplane. Don't plug this in and charge it and go smoke in bed. Charge it on a hard surface. If this thing would catch fire, which it won't unless you do something stupid, then it would catch fire and you'd have a small burn mark and you would clean it up and you would say, I hope that doesn't happen again. But if this thing catches fire, you'd be like calling the fire department, okay? Because it's gonna catch all this on fire. So you have to be careful how and when you do things. Now, you'll notice that this charger is showing us that it is at almost 4.2. You can hear the cooling fan, sounds like a Facebook data center. But right here, we only put 14 milliamp hours in that pack. So my guess is we charge so fast that it's just going to go into this cycle of hitting the maximum voltage, but not actually getting enough voltage in, so it tries to shut itself off and it balances, okay? These smart chargers, don't be tempted to charge too quick. I pressed and held start, that stops it. So now it's off, and you'll notice it relaxes back, okay? So here on Brian Phillips RC, we believe fully in training people on how to do this. So 1.2 is too fast on this pack. So if you put it at 1C, guess what happens? Now it's gonna charge at a lower rate and it's still gonna wanna bring it up to full charge, but we're gonna trickle charge it more so. And that's gonna allow the milliamp hours to actually go into the pack, okay? So now, some of you are thinking, but I don't know what a milliamp hour is. A milliamp hour is how long it takes to, let's just talk about amp hours. 1 amp hour is 1,000 milliamp hours. That is a measurement of power over time. So power is a consideration of time and energy consumed, okay? So in this case, if you're charging at 1 amp, okay, first of all, that provides that you have 1 amp coming from your adapter, which we may or may not be, okay? And that this is going to then discharge at a certain speed into the airplane. And the critical moment is how fast we charge and how fast we can discharge. That's what brings value in batteries, unless of course it's a transmitter battery pack and then you want it to discharge slow because you're gonna draw slow, okay? So depending on what battery you need, we're gonna help teach you what you need. But on this, being a ready to fly plane that would be suitable for beginners, you don't even need to understand that, but that's why you come to Brian Phillips RC. We're gonna teach you as much as we can teach you in a short amount of time. That's why our videos are 3 hours long. So that's on now. We're gonna finally pull this plane out. I know you guys are like patiently waiting, saying, oh yeah. First of all, look at this gull wing. Wow, that is dang gorgeous. And look, there's a hottie warbird chick. Wow. But I do have a complaint already. Look, what is it? My instrument panel. And I've also got some dust I gotta wipe off. But I gotta say, if that's the problem that we have on this plane, I still think this thing is almost ultra micro worthy. Now, a couple things to consider. This thing doesn't have flaps. It feels weighty. I just wanna show you how strong this is. You don't see me throwing my planes into the couch when they're brand new often, but these Volantex planes have a lot of rubbery EPO foam, and that is the type of foam you would want. Now, let's fly this over. Oh, that is so dang cool. Next to it's one of its bigger brothers. This is not an ultra micro, but it's in a similar size class, a little bit bigger. This is a micro from Horizon. That's an EPS. It is not going to flex like this. Now, what's the trade-off? The trade-off is that this thing will still fly good, as you can see, but it's not gonna break. I would never do that with my Draco.
No.
Okay, why? Because first of all, the Draco is considerably more expensive. Second of all, it's lighter. Third of all, this is gonna be more power hungry per excitement size, okay? Now let's fly again. Oh, so much fun. This is a 400 millimeter warbird. This is a 500 millimeter warbird, right? Mm-hmm. 400, 500. Look at the difference. 500. It doesn't seem, how can 100 millimeters make such a big difference in size? It looks like it's darn near twice the size. Well, that's 20% larger in all dimensions, not just the wingspan. So remember, when you get a 500 versus a 400, it's considerably more airplane, okay? Now imagine what it's like going from 500 to 1500 or 1700. This is a 1700 millimeter warbird. This F7F is an example. It's a little bit dusty. I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, size matters. Let's get this thing flying, guys. All right, I know you're here, you're getting impatient, you're probably ready to click away, or probably already did click away for most of you. Or maybe you're just coming back saying, I got a good nap in. Here we go. Clip this on, watch. There, it's ready. By the way, I gotta say the size of the prop is good, the proportions are good. Obviously on a real Corsair, that would be a little bit bigger, but there's not very many models that have a full-size prop on a Corsair because the landing gear would be really tall. Also, the other thing is the Corsair sits really high in the air, okay? And when they come up on their mains, oh man, that thing is just gonna scream. Okay, landing gear. These are obviously gonna fit in one spot, but not the other necessarily. They slip in with no tools, okay? So just gonna show you how to do this. I'm gonna hold that spring with my fingers hard, and then I'm gonna just snap it in, okay? So now that it's back, I'm gonna figure out which one goes in where. These ones are landing gear doors, simulated landing gear doors. So it looks like it's gonna snap under. Can I come from this side? I can't tell. Yep, you gotta push it all the way in. You see how I did that with my thumbnail? Mm-hmm. Then this is allowed to come under. I'm not even gonna try to snap it. I'm just gonna try to slip it under if it'll go. It's a little bit tricky. I'm probably gonna have to snap it in, dang. I don't wanna break it. It's my fear is I'm gonna break it. But you guys see what I'm doing here, right? I'm just trying to work it under without breaking. Okay, I didn't break it. Then this goes in and interlaces with the bogey. The bogey! That's what I was trying to remember earlier. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Oh, good lordy, Lord. That thing does not want to snap in there worth a darn. Did I get the wrong one? No, that's definitely the right one. Okay, let's try the other side and see if it's any easier. You have to slide this in first. You can tell our charger's done over there because it sounds like the Facebook data center's back. And when I say that, I mean I hear the cooling fan kicking in. Okay, so this is gonna slide under. Yep, better. And then it's gonna clip. I don't think I'm back far enough. There it goes, there it goes. There it goes, all the way back. Then, good lordy, Lord. Is it maybe not supposed to
Do they
snap?
actually snap on?
It sure looks like it snaps on.
You would think
Look,
they would.
Come over here, because I gotta stop bending over. See that? It looks like, yeah, it's definitely gonna snap. Okay, we might need to use a tool for this. I hate using tools for these, but by the way, oh, steerable tail wheel, awesome. Yes, it goes this way, not the other way. So just push it in and squishy. Oh, it's super soft, grab it. Show the people. Yes.
Oh, it is.
Okay, so a couple things. I thought there was 2 spare props. I was mistaken in my assessment because there was not one installed, but we do have one additional prop adapter. It's a little bit challenging to get in there because look at that beautiful detail around that. You can't even see that it's got a brushless motor, but it is a brushless motor, okay? So that is pretty awesome. All right, so what's the next step? We got to snap those things on, right?
Yes.
Facebook data centers drive me nuts, so I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this. That's off, unplugged. And by the way, with a dual channel charger, you can charge 2 at a time. And we're gonna go ahead and use this one because it's just charged a little bit quicker and we wanna get out and get this thing filmed. As you can see, we're 2 cells. Okay, so 4.11 and 4.14. So you can see there are certain cells that don't like to be charged too fast, and this is probably one of them, okay? So this one's charging on the provided factory charger or the ready to fly charger, if you will. okay? So our first step when we plug in a battery into an airplane is we got to get it in there somehow, okay? So we're going to open this lid. It folds up, it's hinged, okay? We've got the receiver plug, or not the receiver plug, but where we plug this in. And I like to always have my transmitter on and down, but I don't believe that's the way this one works. So we'll show you in a minute. Your hands are going to be in close proximity to the prop. If you can't tolerate that risk, take the prop off. Okay, you can take it off. All you have to do is rock it off. Plug it in.
Oh, that was fast.
Goes through a startup procedure. Drop the lead in here. You could put a voltage alarm in there if you wanted. There's plenty of room. Voltage alarm just would tell you when your voltage is low, but I don't think we're going to need it. I think it's just going to be kind of a handy thing to know. But you see, this isn't wanting to snap because of the way I put that battery in, okay? So I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to turn it the other way like this and see if that helps. Maybe now we can get it. There we go. So just make sure your leads are kind of pressed in away from the edges, okay? Oh, and then we got to get those landing gear doors in. So the landing gear door, so obviously it's connected. You can hear it rattling around like crazy, and that is normal. Let's use needle nose pliers for this, folks. Oh, this makes me a little nervous here. See, it's trying to auto level with those ailerons. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm just gonna see if it'll snap on. I'm gonna go right here. Ooh, that's making me nervous. Oh yeah, there it goes. Went on. That was very hard to do though, guys. I mean, it's not so much that it's hard. I have plenty of strength to do it. It's just I don't want to break it, okay? So give them a super close up of this because you may decide you want to do this. You may decide you don't want to do it because it's going to be very hard to take these off out in the field. So it kind of depends on if you're going to take them off or not.
Right.
And I can tell you this, once you've done that, you're going to have a lot more stout bogeys, okay? Oh, love it. It just deadens your bounce when you land. So super excited for this one. Guys, Volantex does a really nice job. We've done a lot of 400 and 500 millimeter warbirds. We've had a couple of 500s that have sucked pretty bad. I'm hoping this one doesn't suck because they were a different brand.
Yep.
And by the way, that P51 over there, that's green and yellow, very good. It was a Volantex offering. Elevator up, elevator down. Why don't you go back where you were for a sec. There you go, because then the light hits. What a beautiful plane, man, that's gorgeous. Okay, so rudder, and steerable. Oh, nice, it's so cool. Nice. And then roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down. Now in advanced, everything moves, and then I haven't even throttled. Throttle is not armed yet, so even if I bump this, it won't work, okay? Because you gotta go all the way up and all the way down. Now it's armed. Now if I bump it, it'll go. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, so there is no throttle cut, so just be aware. No throttle cut means that you can't really protect yourself in the event that you would bump the throttle. So just be aware on some of these smaller planes, there are gonna be some trade-offs, and that's one of them. Now, the other thing too to consider is that if you have an open TX transmitter, you can actually bind this to another type of transmitter. You don't have to use a provided transmitter, but my suggestion to you is this. If you're binding to a different transmitter, I don't know what protocol this particular plane uses, and that is not one of the things that I typically do because I've not found it to be as easy as I want it to be, okay? So we get the ready to flies. That's for a reason. Largely because I have a lot of really good planes and I have a lot of really entry-level planes, and I don't necessarily mind having a transmitter that just goes with this for fun. And I think a lot of people that are in the market to buy planes like this are gonna be in the entry-level market, but look how nice this thing looks.
It looks really good.
It is so beautiful and it feels nice. Now, did the center of gravity get listed anywhere?
I highly doubt it.
Let's
check.
We
could check.
Why don't you show the people through the manual? Just peruse quick,
okay.
Show them the pages. If this is the time where you could pause if you needed to learn something. The other tip is when you're buying planes from our links, just click the link in the video description below, or maybe you're going to brianphillipsrc.com, also bprc.me. If you don't know how to spell my name, you can do that. And it's gonna help you find exactly what you're looking for. Sometimes you're looking for the plane that we're reviewing, and other times you're looking for a plane that we reviewed in the past because you wanna compare and contrast it. But right there, we'll have links as well that says buy it or some such thing, and you can buy it there and help support the channel. It is one of the best ways to support Brian Phillips RC financially. If you guys want to support us in other ways, we have PayPal, Patreon for monthly support, YouTube members for monthly support, and then of course, YouTube super thanks are always welcome, and that's super easy for you to do. But if you're curious about the details of how all those systems work, you can hit us up in the comments below, or just check it out. Patreon will show you. Patreon does give you a little bit better access to me for comments. I am very quick and responsive on comments from Patreon. Just ask anybody who's on Patreon, they'll tell you. And also, we really appreciate you guys buying from the links, because that's how we basically fund this channel. We do less advertising revenue than some of our peers that are in the same market, and we do more sales than them because we want to help you guys get in the air. And that's what we do by teaching you what to expect.
Here's some info on the compatibility protocol.
Ooh, S-Bus, sweet, and DSM. So you could actually set it up with your transmitter, your Spectrum transmitter. Now, how do you get to that? Let's show them right here, right? So what you do is you squeeze this thing out. You squeeze one out, guys. Oh yeah, look at that, right there.
Nice.
That is so sweet. Now, I don't know where the DSM plug is.
Looks like it's clear
DSM is right there, and then X-Bus is up at the front. So you'd have to work at it. Show them, get it in there so they can see. See that? Mm-hmm. So if you want to use a little satellite serial receiver, you can actually do that, and then you could fly this on your Spectrum transmitter, which would be really nice, because I know many of you that follow Brian Phillips RC understand that I tend to be kind of a Spectrum guy. I know there's even arguably better transmitters out there. There's a lot cheaper transmitters out there, but this is a middle of the road. It's gonna help get you started. We will teach you lots of bells and whistles about using this technology. Now, why did I land on Spectrum? Because Spectrum is where I started. I found the most help and I had the most success. Doesn't mean there's not better. There are way more expensive transmitters out there, and there are a lot cheaper as well. So like I said, it's kind of the middle of the road. It's gonna get you in the air. It's gonna help provide a good experience for the type of audience that watches a channel like ours. People that need help, that are returning to the hobby, and people that are just getting into the hobby. And we assume that people that are buying planes like this are just getting into the hobby, or maybe returning to the hobby and trying to get their feet wet. Just remember, these planes are not the same as those planes. They're not the same as that plane, even though they look it. And that's one thing you have to keep in mind, is that the flyability in a hobby grade plane, this is very close on the sliding scale into the hobby grade planes. That Waco there is gonna fly better, okay? It's not more expensive, but it's getting there, okay? Ultra micro extremes typically fly better, but these are getting very close and they're cheap. So if your number one factor is dollars and cents, I highly suggest you consider something like this. But I don't want you to think this is the pinnacle of RC flight. It's not, and anybody who tells you that is just trying to sell you this plane, and that's where it ends for them. I want to sell you these planes, because this is what's going to wet your whistle, and then you're going to want the 1700 millimeter version of this. Yeah. Because I know that really your heart is going to be reached by an entry-level plane. This is not where it ends. The truth, unless your wife is listening, and then this is exactly where it ends.
The only thing you'll
never
ever
need another plane ever again.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's the truth, the full truth, nothing but the truth from Brian Phillips RC, and hopefully you saw the flight at the beginning of this video. We do unbox, build, radio setup in combination with the flights on simpler planes that are ready to fly, and we're here for you because we want to answer your questions as you come up with us in the hobby. We're 10 years deep into this, but I've had a lifelong 40-ish years old of playing with RC, and I can tell you this is the most immersive, rewarding, challenging, hard, frustrating, expensive, fun hobby is flying RC airplanes. And yes, we have a lot of very expensive helicopters, thousands of dollars worth sitting right there. Tens of thousands of dollars worth in this room, okay? And we have a lot more rooms like this, okay? Helicopters are awesome too, airplanes are awesome. We do all the RC, cars, trucks, they're very fun, boats, fun, all that stuff. We love them all, but where it's at for Brian Phillips, scale aircraft. like this. Scale aircraft like that, okay? I love it when they're scale. I love it when they slow down. I love having control surfaces that are realistic like flaps. This does not have them. I love having features like LEDs. This one doesn't have them. I love having soft tires, amazing, glorious soft tires, spring-loaded oleos. Not oleos, spring-loaded bogies. When you start getting features in planes like this, like soft tires, you know we're getting better. And we're helping to drive the hobby into what we all demand, because I'm just like you. I want the best for my RC dollars. And that's the way it is. So hopefully you've seen that and you'll smash a like button to help reward us, because YouTube is trying to punish people that do long format because it's more expensive to facilitate our content than it is people that just blast out and, oh, I dropped my plane. Okay,
I missed it here. You can throw it on the counter.
Yeah, oh, I dropped it. Yeah, well, you know what? To me, that doesn't bring any value to our hobby. I want to teach you guys how to do this. I want to teach you how to have the best experience. And I'm going to teach you all the steps, because when you take out the kitchen scale, that's when you know it's serious, okay? So we're gonna turn this thing on. We're gonna show you if it's sub 250, because sub 250 means that you can fly without remote ID, and I'm hoping to God this is not over 250, because that'd be very embarrassing for Volantex. And how do you set this thing on here? Let's see if we can get it on here.
I have to use a cup.
No, I think I got it.
Make it.
Yep, the prop is free. Oh.
Well, you're at 138.
138,
right there.
so we're totally fine. Yeah. So let's call it 138, 139. I was kind of tipping it and balancing it. This plane is fully legal to fly without remote ID, provided you're doing it for recreational purposes. And I'm not sure if you're gonna like be crop dusting with that thing anytime soon. But the truth is, we're here for you. We're serving the RC community. We're investing so much of ourselves, and we hope you guys see it. What you don't see right now is right around that corner, we're about to extend the runway, which you already saw in the flight. And we're not about ready to actually show them.
Yes.
There's another piece of
dirt.
There's all sorts of dirt work going on here. And, oh, hold on. I'm gonna give them,
what?
Hold on, pause it. Okay, so we're talking about like real big investments. This is one of the smallest planes we've done in a while. This is one of the biggest investments we made in a while. In fact, it's gonna be more than our house and our property that we're on. Yeah. So we're gonna show you the second page. I gotta flip things around, so stay tuned. Okay, so this is page 2, preliminary, not for construction, except that it is. When you build a big structure and you need a door like this, that's 46 foot, 6 inches by 18, and you need a beam. Look at this beam, guys, look at this beam. This is W24 133. That beam is 133 pounds per foot. It's a truckload, okay? A real truckload. Okay, pause. Okay, so then we've got this page, which is gonna show you, this is preliminary, okay? But it's very real. We have paid these people to make these plans and not $5,
yeah,
okay?
No.
So we have structural engineers, we have dirt workers, we have excavators, we have Amish, we have road construction companies. Everybody is involved. This is very real. It is very expensive. And all for beautiful things just like this. Because we love this hobby, and we are not just doing it so we can throw it on a table in our basement with a neon light in the background. Although we could do that too. We choose to do it in our kitchen.
Great.
So, awesome planes brought to you from Brian Phillips, yours truly on Brian Phillips RC, with the camera crew behind the camera, getting some of the best shots humanly possible in long format. We're gonna teach you all you need to know right here on Brian Phillips RC. There's so much coming, and it's gonna be so cool, and I can't wait to show you guys, but I can't actually show you because it doesn't exist yet, and I wish it did, but it will right over there, and we're gonna share the whole cool, tediously painful, and long process. Stay tuned. So much more right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC.